ag gobra an sin. Gá second an sin inis. Okay, Aiden an sin. Yeah, okay, super. Tá duna tre seach an sin ag rá, yes. Ionach. Okay, a chuirde, tá fáilte Rovmar dúirt me, you're very welcome to tonight's TY information session for the school year 2024-2025. Niva mi road and show, we won't be too long here. We will go through 20 slides, and at the same time, on the right hand side of your screen, you should see a live event Q&A column or icon, and you can click on that, and Mata Kestra be and Corey Láthair, please put your questions there. So in a minute I'm going to pass you over to Ciarán O'Callaghan, who is our coordinator, Clár na Hidirblina, our TY coordinator. Ciarán's been in this role for 10 years now, he tells me, so he's well versed to what has to be done. It's a busy year, a lot of events happen. It's a great year. I think I couldn't praise it enough from a social point of view, especially for students, that they mature, they grow up, Tushi Nisabi, and then Tushi Raig, they're ready to take on the 5th and 6th year Leaving Cert cycle. So, as I said, Accorda, please put any questions you have into the Q&A on the right hand side, and Igandera, myself and Ciarán will try and answer those questions for you. So look, we'll try and be out here in 45 minutes, because taking Guldin, Gnohok, Axamid Anviok, Guldin and Shoal, I'm very grateful for you to be here tonight. So, Tomikon, Ekortras and go Ciarán and Ish, and ta Ciarán kon tusnu in the slides, Agus Lakunde, Tommy Gubber. And so Fekiship Mahanishin, mar free vida, Agus Ciarán mar Corder, Clár na Hidirblina.
Okay, Gurmila Magatón, Jeev Gachtin, Mardor Chon, is Mr. Ciarán O'Callaghan. So my name is Ciarán O'Callaghan. As Owen said, I am in this role for a number of years. And tonight's session is really about giving parents an idea of what the year entails and students, how it's different from other years, some of the practical information that would be useful to you as you think ahead. And we appreciate that at the moment third years are busy studying, they've got exams coming, there's obviously pressure that brings, but it is nice to sort of look farther ahead of that and see a different type of year that's coming towards them. It's a huge year for their development, and yeah, we're going to see a few of the differences this evening. And finally, we look at some of the preparation that could be of use to you at this stage, just to sort of help get your student, your son or daughter's mind on things that will be helpful to them for next year. Okay, Owen.
Ronan, Ciarán, yeah. Remy Dermot, and my job.
Right, Remy. Yeah, so Shode an Roch's mission a Hidra Vliana, Furbridge Parson the Social Agus Edgechasul and Dalta, a Hohu Agsi the Olwood and Ronfortich Nyasblock Fragrux Sochi. So when we put together our mission statement, I suppose, like any mission statement, it tries to drag up like the essence, the essential being of why we're doing this. Transition year is something that wasn't there when I was in school. And consequently, I would have started university, I think, when I was 17, which now seems so young. And it was. And what it meant was an awful lot of my peers and myself, we were going into college with very, very little understanding of what was actually going on in the real world. We'd come straight from school. We had done nothing like work experience. We had a few summer jobs and things like that. We had a very narrow view of the world, really. It was basically we're depending on the odd guest speaker to come into school and talk about something. But I remember when I was writing into my CEO form, I really hadn't a clue what I was doing at the time. I was looking at the points I was predicting that I'd probably get and looking at some of the courses around those points, which is a terrible way for anyone to be planning their future. Consequently, I did a year of college, realized the course wasn't for me, went traveling, came back, started another course. But I don't see it as waste of time, it was growth time. But it does show that basically the transition year was designed and put into the curriculum and put into schools because it's giving students a real chance to grow. And we see, I actually feel like in my role as TY coordinator in the school, it is a fairly privileged position because I know that, I see these kids when they're in first year, second year and third year, they're definitely the junior students in the school. And then through this year, through transition year, they go from being very junior students into being senior students. And you see the transformation before your eyes. Students suddenly get so involved in a lot of the activities that are going on in the school. They really want to make their mark in the year. They go out on work experience every week. They're seeing, they're experiencing the world. They're getting a lot of exposure to areas that are going to help them, and they're going to help them make decisions, really educated decisions on where they're going to go with their lives, what their next step from the school is going to be. And that's why it's there. It's not a DOS year. I know a lot of students get that into their heads at the beginning of the year. We don't do any work, isn't this great? That's far, far from the truth. We keep up on the academic side, but we also, that's not the complete focus. I suppose in third year now, they're seeing how important exams can be and focusing and so on. There is that type of pressure again in fifth year and sixth year, and we know that. But this is a year for them to take maybe the foot slightly off the gas on the academic side and develop the other sides, the social side, the personal side, to work with charities, to go out into the public and actually make a difference. And that's what we try to instill in them during this year. So it's a huge, I see it as a massive stepping stone. And honestly, when you see a kid coming in from third year and then you see them leaving at the end of fourth year, it's chalk and cheese in a lot of cases. It really is. You see these kids, they're after running their own business. They're after, putting on shows for people, getting so involved, the way they work with their teachers, which again, is completely different to the way they would have been as junior students. It really is a great year for them. Nisho?
Yeah, and a bunch of sin, okay, yeah?
Yeah. Was that something on piece of show,
No, like me did.
Oh yeah, fiber bit. Yeah. So look, as I was saying, we have the personal, professional, and social and cultural experience. They will be going out, getting experience in the workplace every week. Every Wednesday will be set aside for that. We'll look at that in a later slide. There are huge advantages. Now, by the yardstick, there having been in extensive surveys and data or information released about it that their points in the Leaving Cert will be higher if you do transition year. People who go on to third level, again, 87% against 76%. Now, part of this reason is that they're older. They're just more mature leaving the school, definitely. But honestly, I really see in the year an awful lot of students, their horizons grow. They at the beginning of the year, they start out not having a clue what they want to do, not having a clue where they're going to go on work experience or whatever. And some of them during the year will literally have an epiphany where they'll realize suddenly, actually, I love doing this, or I love doing that, or this is an area that I'm going to explore more. All the metrics that are there to measure progression from school into third level or into the professional world, all of them point to the transition year having massive benefits to your children.
Okay. Yeah, so talk me shocking Shin. I suppose in TY by Nadalti they have anquid over. So the students will do their Cree over. Every student will do their Gaeilge, Béarla, Mata, and their Frankish or Spanish. That is the language they have done or completed for their junior cycle examinations. After that, then we have approximately 16 other subjects that they can choose from later on in the year to take on for the 5th year and 6th year Leaving Cert cycle. So what happens to Skull now? We set up a timetable, and the timetable rotates approximately every 7 to 8 weeks. So the students will, on timetable A, which might be class A, might be doing history, economics, music, and art as their 4 over Bl.4 that they're tasting. And then after 7 or 8 weeks, they will rotate to a new timetable where they'll get, again, same amount of time at biology, technology, home ec, and geography. and so on. So the timetable will rotate repeatedly 4 times until all students have had a number of weeks to sample these subjects. So I suppose on Tishkent, the understanding behind this is that, look, it's hard to make these decisions now. Hopefully after 7-8 weeks of different subjects, that they will be in a position then to make a better choices for their 5th year and 6th year exams. What happens then in March, we generally have an information session with a career guidance teacher online. And this is where I'll explain to parents that they will have to, and students, that they'll have to choose subject options in preference in order from 1, their favourite, 2nd favourite, 3rd, 4th, 5th. And then it's my job to do my best to see how many options I can offer to the students. And I do spend a lot of time at this, and I do my best to try and make as many as possible students satisfied with their subject options. It's not easy because we can't get everything right for everyone, but we do our level best. We also try to run every subject if possible, once we have the numbers, and we do our best to make sure that students have those options every year. So for me, a kind lev mar tish mohori, tashi an tovtuk. It's very important that students are in class. A big thing for me, I find in TY, is that sometimes with the support from home, students will go home and say, we don't have any important subjects tomorrow. We only have the sample subjects. Well, what I'm making very clear today with you is that all through the year, they will be doing their Gaeilge, Béarla, Mata and Frankish. They're 4 out of Leave Insert, 4 out of 7 Leave Insert core subjects. They will have that same teacher for the whole year, and possibly for 5th year and 6th year, we don't know yet. And those teachers will be starting the Leave Insert curriculum. They will be running classes based on working towards the Leave Insert. So the one thing I very much ask for parents and guardians and the students is to buy in with the attendance. If you're not in class, it will affect you. If you take some time out of TY and you miss a few weeks here and there, this will affect you going into 5th year, and I say that from experience. So Leverdal will be putting a big push on next year with TY. We have Tinrov that will be monitoring, keep an eye on the students, because we want to make sure that they're not at a disadvantage come later on the year when we start into 5th year, and when there is, I suppose, the workload does increase. So Mata Keshta Beguf Fina Hover, just it's Philip Keshkrashak or Yeshan Chin and Igdera Begmanown Nakeshta Shinarager. So any questions, just please put them in about the subjects, and I'll be able to answer them at the end of this session. Okay, so Kieran Kumiras Arash Kugadurish Shin and a Bugarai Gudi Nagnivukti Shach curriculum.
Gurmagaton. Yeah, so I suppose this is the fun side of TY. For a lot of students, the calendar that we have put together for them, we're always trying to get a balance between finding activities that are beneficial to the students. At the beginning of the year, students will be put into new class groups. This is a huge part of the year, and honestly, for a lot of students, it's a source of worry and so on. The reason we do that is because they came to school in 1st year and they were put into new classes, and they're able to handle it when they're 12, 13 years old. When they leave the school, they'll be going on to university. They'll have absolutely no say who they're sitting beside in a lecture hall. When they go on into the world of employment, again, they will have no say who they're going to end up working with. So being able to adapt and make new friends and fit in, and whatever words you want to put to it, it is a skill that we do try to develop this year. Now, we are mindful of the fact that friends have other friends and so on. We always try to get the balance right, but it is something that's very important. And at the beginning of the transition year, there'll be a number of events that we'll be organising so that when they're in their new class groups, they'll be able to go out for the day, spend time with their new friends, and make new friends. So it's a huge part of the, and I suppose, in today's session, it is worth mentioning that we do look for parental support on this. If any of the students are asked right now, would you like to change classes? Most of them would say, absolutely not. I'm happy where I am. And we're like that. Most people don't like change. But we will be moving students around. There will be kickback. The students won't be happy initially. Now, what we always find is in the first month or so, there can be difficulty in the bedding in. but give it a couple of months. And very often when you go back to the same student and even offer to move them, they'll be now happy where they are. So there is a case in this process. We do look for parental support in this. Some of them won't be happy, but we will ask you, sort of hold the line, understand that this is a skill that they'll need to develop in the future anyway, and they're getting a chance to do that in TY. We have a number of different programs that run through the year, each year. The gCur Presence Award Scheme, I remember doing that myself when I was in school. It's the only award given out by the president of the country, Michael D. And it's designed around the transition year. So if a student is actively engaged in a sporting activity, a personal skill, and helping the community in some way during the year, they'll get recognition for it through the gCur Presence Award Scheme. This is something that the student and the parent will apply for themselves. There's a €15 cost on it. It can be applied for through gCur.ie. A lot of students are already probably they're already doing a number of activities that will work for this. So if you're playing sport, for example, and you're doing it for at least 13 weeks in the year, the sports side, the physical recreation side is already taken care of. If a student is learning a musical instrument or dance or whatever it might be, again, that is an activity that's part of the whole gCur. It is a chance though for students to try new things. Like I always think, if a student isn't doing any physical exercise, really planned physical exercise in their day at this stage of their lives, it will be difficult to bring those habits in the future. So they're having the gCur Presence Award Scheme is something that's worth looking at now, and it will be a big part of the year for a lot of the students. Other ones, we have the charities who come into the school. We had a group today up in Castlebar. They were working with Young St Vincent de Paul. They were at their youth day today, and they had a great day. They were working with them over the year. They had a number of activities both in the school and outside the school to create awareness of the work that St Vincent de Paul do. We have other ones. We go out to we're going to the Adventure Centre next week in Killary. We're bringing a huge amount of students back there for a couple of nights, 3 days activities. There are also the foreign trip, I suppose, is a huge part of the year for a lot of students. Normally we'll give at the beginning of the year, I look at a few options. I'll give those options to parents. Now, it will be worth talking to your son or daughter about it. But when we get the feedback of what parents are, first of all, happy where they're going to send their child, but also there'll be different price options. So we appreciate that. Look, life is getting more and more difficult for everybody. There's costs to everything. The TY, there is a cost to it. I will see that later on. But with the foreign trip this year, for example, we went to Italy. We brought 2 different groups out. They had a fantastic week. But again, the package cost came to about €1,000. So it is something that's elective. If a student wants to do it, they can do it. If they don't want to do it, they don't have to do it at all. And during the weeks that their class are gone, obviously there'll be classes in the school with some of the other class groups that they can join in on. We've got a Cold Drum with the musical. It's a huge part of the year. Any of the students who are keeping an eye on the transition year this year saw how much enjoyment that the students gained from it. It was a fantastic 3 nights that they had in Galway. In the black box, and we're looking to do that again in November this year. Now that takes a massive amount of effort from different teachers and so on. So I suppose, speaking to the students directly now, it is something to get really involved in, and give it your best. Throw yourself into it. You're going to make so many friends through it. Like a lot of your year, the chance are there's quite a few clicks, like any year. But events like that bring people together, and it creates a sort of a community amongst the group. So yeah, we'll be having that in November, and then later on the year we'll be having things like the foreign trips and so on. We have a huge amount of, it's exhaustive, the list at the moment. Pretty much from here to the end of the year, every day there's something going on in the school with the transition years, and we're adding to it and we're taking from it. If something isn't working or we're not seeing the benefit of an event or workshop, whatever it'll be, we scrap it and we try something new, and that'll be happening this year also. Okay, on. Yeah, there are a number of other programs that run through different organizations for transition year. We have the mini-med program in the Royal College of Surgeons. That's an online course. Now, again, it's a waste of time if a student has no interest in the world of medicine and wouldn't consider going for it or whatever. That probably wouldn't be for them. But they do an online week where students can log in. This year we had, I think it was about 10 students working in a computer room where basically they were having the program delivered to them online. They were able to take notes and things like that. And those who were interested in medicine found it hugely beneficial. The Bar of Ireland, in relation to law, they also run a similar program. The STEPS Engineers Ireland, we have a number of students at the moment who've made applications and have been accepted onto that. That takes place in NUIG, GMIT, and a number of other places as well. The Garda Síochána run a TY program, and they haven't for the last couple of years. After COVID, the thing kind of stopped. But between themselves and the Óglaigh na hÉireann, when these courses run, we always make an application for it. Very often we might be given a couple of places for the year. Students can make an application and we'll send a number of students on them. Okay. Yeah, these are just some of the activities that we had this year. I was only going through the failure or the calendar earlier today. Yeah, we have the Ceol Drama. We had 3 days. Well, in the Town Hall Theatre, that was the year before, and the Black Box last year. Dromador into the school, the Goshka is running. We have trips out of the school. We had one in Kilkieran. We're going to Killery. We've brought a group up to Glasnevin Cemetery and the Hugh Lane Gallery. We'll be going to Bay Sports in Athlone the day before we finish. I think this year they have a day out in Astra Bay. We sent all of them up to the zoo and Liffey Valley during the year. And again, it's this place a lot of them want to visit since they're maybe little kids. But it's actually an incredible place to visit and see the job that they've done up there. We have other subjects that I suppose wouldn't be all that typical, like philosophy is run in the school as one of the rotating subjects. We bring in workshops, forensic fun. We did a Special Olympics collection there last week. We brought 2 class groups in to do that. We had every group was out in Palace Driving School in Tina. We just finished up those, so they actually got, each of them got 20 minutes driving a car during the day. We're running at the moment first aid courses. We ran 2 very successful one-day courses recently, and then we've got 3 other groups who are going to be doing a full 3-day first aid course over the next couple of weeks. Now, some of these we can't tie all this into the cost of the year. If we're asking it from all parents, it would be we'd be looking for way too much money from people. So what we normally do is we fix a fixed program, and any expense that we're asking from parents is part of that package. And then after that, we look at things like, the headline things, foreign trips, Killery Adventure Centre or an Adventure Centre, first aid courses, and so on. So it's up to parents then and students whether or not they want to do those courses. Not everyone will do everything. So we try to make it manageable for every family, no matter their situation. Okay. Yeah, so I suppose that's how the year is different. There is an academic focus on it. They will be coming into classes. They will have, they'll have books. They'll have all that stuff. But there are obviously some differences to it. A huge part of the year then also is the work experience. So every Wednesday, instead of coming into the school, the students will go out and do their work experience on that day. So this gives them an insight, obviously, into the world of work. There are 3 placements through the year. So we normally run it that there's about 32 weeks in the year. So they will do their work experience for 30 of those weeks normally. The way I'd be thinking of that for parents would be, they'll have 3 different opportunities of going into 3 different types of businesses. I'd be thinking that, hospitality would be a good one for most students, simply because come the summer or in college, there's a lot more of those type of short casual jobs available than something more long term. It'll help them. The experience they often get in the work experience through the TY program means that they will have a job at the end of the year. a huge amount of our students will end up working in shops or restaurants or cafes or whatever, because they showed when they went in on the work experience they were good, they showed up on time, they worked well, they got on with other staff and customers, and then they get a job from that. So that's an advantage. But also it is a unique opportunity. For example, if I tried to go and work in a solicitor's office in the morning, they would laugh me out the door. I'm not qualified to do so. And it would take me years of study in university and possibly postgraduate study for them even to look at my CV. However, in TY, an awful lot of these types of companies will take students on. So it's a unique opportunity to be able to see what it's like to work as an architect, as a solicitor, as an accountant, whatever area they might be interested in. It's worth thinking about now. If your son or daughter has shown an interest in a particular area, let it be maths, science, the arts, whatever, get them thinking and looking at the types of companies that they might, if they pursued that area, end up working in. We don't release a list of all the companies who've taken our students. That would be against GDPR and so on. However, and we don't, obviously if we had a huge amount of students contacting one company all the time, they wouldn't be probably delighted with that. But I can tell you now that literally across Galway, I don't know any company off the top of my head that hasn't taken one of our students in the past. As Owen said, this is my 10th year, and we've had, I don't know how many students go through TY, and literally they've worked. All the student needs to do to get the placement is literally go in, knock on the door, ask to speak to a manager, and talk to them. And you'd be amazed at how quickly doors can open. They're fully covered under the insurance of the school in their time, in their work experience. We have a letter that explains that and so on, and I'll be sharing that with students and with parents also. When it comes to Master na Hidre Bhlina, our assessment of the year, again, it's different to other years. In the next few weeks, we will be running interviews with all of the students at the end of their year. At the moment, they're putting together a portfolio of their experiences, and eventually we'll be sitting down with them, interviewing them for about 10 minutes each, and they'll explain to us how they enjoyed or what they enjoyed from the year, and so on and so forth. So that they'll get marked on that. Also, the academic side in their cree-over or their core subjects, will be getting marks for the assessments that are done in those. And finally, their Taifead, their work experience, they get a form at the end of every placement. The employer will fill out a form just explaining how they, very quick tick box, were they excellent, were they very good, were they good, were they, whatever. And from that we'll be able to give them a mark in the year. And it's more of this isn't to go on to a database somewhere, and it's more recognition. Like, as I said, during the year, some of the students we have this year and every other year, the amount of things they get involved in, the amount of growth we see in them, it'd be a shame not to acknowledge that. And that's why it's what the main assessment of the year is to show people that, look, if you get a distinction in your transition year, it means you were at the wheel the whole time. You were getting involved in things. You've been exposed to so many different things that are going to be a benefit to you, and that you've benefited your community as well. Some students will get a merit, and again, they're students who showed up, probably didn't get involved in as many things. The students I'll be worried about would be those who be not achieved, and that literally means a student hasn't been showing up to school, probably has become disinterested, not getting involved. And I sometimes speak to parents over the years who be, ask me, Kieran, Johnny or Mary or whoever it is, they just don't seem all that motivated, and they're saying there's nothing going on in school, they're not involved in anything. And I'd always say to them, look, the next time they're going to have the type of, I suppose, liberty or freedom in their time to be able to choose what they want to do or what they don't want to do will be when they're in college. And if you see somebody who's not achieved, not showing up, not getting involved in anything, doesn't want to know about anything, you're nearly looking into the future. So it is a case of, if there's a student like that, you do need to talk to them and say, look, you really do need to figure out how to self-motivate a bit, get involved. You can obviously speak to me, we can talk to them and to get them involved and so on. There is, as I said earlier, there is a cost to the year. This year it's going to be €375. All of that money goes towards activities and events and bringing people into the school and trying to, and the way we work, we try and get as much value out of the year as we possibly can. Like I said, we have events and workshops and so on going on all the time. Outside of that, there will be extra costs that parents can decide that they want to do or they don't. Also, it's not a case of, well, if you don't do them, you're going to stand out. We have loads of reasons why students don't go on trips or whatever. It can be because they're busy, they have other things going on. It's not financial at all, a lot of the time. Now, the other thing is we appreciate fully that the world is becoming a far more expensive place, certainly in my experience, than the last few years. It's very, very difficult to find this sort of money. And certainly for the headline cost, like I said, the skiing this year came to about €1,000. We understand that parents are in financial difficulty in some cases. And if it's a case you said, look, I can't afford that at the moment, we can absolutely stagger it through the year. We can break it up into smaller payments that would make it more workable for parents. I suppose the reality for us is we have to pay for everything. If we are bringing the students out somewhere, buses are not cheap, trust me. Everything has gone up. We justify every cent of the money that's spent will be spent, but we do need to, if we don't get the sort of payments that mean we can run the program, we will have to trim the program. That's just the reality of it. We don't have a pot of cash anywhere for this. It is the parents who pay for the year. That's the reality of it. Okay. Just in relation to the communication in the year, it's important that students and parents understand this. Most of the communication that I'll be having with your son or daughter will be over Microsoft Teams. During lockdown, we all started using it. We all got used to it. They're using it for a lot of their other subjects anyway, but it means that I can quickly send out important messages. If we're going to Dublin tomorrow or we're going wherever, I can if there's a change of schedule, a change of whatever, I very quickly go onto Teams and send out a message to the students. Now, that works flawlessly if the student obviously has Teams notifications turned on their phones and so on, and at home, and are checking it. So that is something we would ask. You just keep an eye. If you feel like you're not getting enough information, or your son or daughter doesn't seem to have any information about what's going on, the chances are they're not looking at Teams. We have a special team put together with Oíche for next year. I'll be sharing a huge amount of material on that, things like employment, insurance forms and so on. They'll be getting it all through Microsoft Teams. It's a two-way street. The students can also contact me through Teams, and every day I have at least 6 or 7 messages in my chat from students just asking general questions. They might have missed out on something or didn't understand something. It's a really good over and back way. I am in the school every day as well. The students can come to my room and talk to me. There's no problem at all there. And in relation to the third years this year, I've never actually taught that cohort. I think it's the first time I haven't actually taught any of the students in a transition year. But I know from having spoken to other teachers and seeing them around, they seem like a very good group of students. I'm very much looking forward to getting to know them through the year. Outside of that, when I'm communicating with parents, and I will be updating you on certain things. There'll be information, there'll be maybe a survey that I'll ask you to fill in. That'll be useful for us making our decisions in relation to trips and so on. I'll be doing that through VSware. And again, parents can contact me through VSware, or they can contact me through Teams, also your son or daughter's email. So, and I'll be sharing my email address with all of you as well. So feel free to contact me if there's any issues or whatever. Please come to me. And like I said, in relation to finances and so on, there's normally a workaround. There's no, I totally get that I'll have to set deadlines for certain things, but if, circumstances mean that it'd be whatever, you can come to me and talk to me, and we will try and figure something out. On the outside of the transition year program or coordinator role, there is obviously things like discipline in the school. Your son and daughter will be in 4th year. They're going to have an Edgeranga, which they would have had in all their other classes up to now. And that Edgeranga will meet them once a week. They'll have a class with them. They'll be able to discuss any issues or anything like that, and they can deliver, things can very often be sorted at that, during that class or before or after it when they talk to their Edgeranga. Things like discipline and so on, those issues, if they get escalated, will move on to the Ceannaire Bliana or the year head. And then clearly, if that escalates, it'll be arriving on Owen's doorstep, our vice principal Stefan. So the program, I suppose, sits over here, any activities and so on, that's all going to be on my plate. But there will be some other things, like I said, discipline, attendance, and so on. That will be under the remit of the year head, so it won't be me talking to you about that. Yeah, so that's some of the practical information. I suppose now, just a little bit about what you could be looking at in relation to the preparation for the year. Like I said, there's the gCur President's Award Scheme. It's absolutely worth looking at their website. The students will go for the Bronze Award in transition year, and that means they'll have to do 13 weeks of physical recreation, personal skill, and a community involvement, meaning working with a charity or working with the local football club. If somebody's playing hurling or football for a club, you know, they've received maybe, I don't know, they could have got maybe 10 years of coaching at this stage. This would be a chance for them to give a bit of that back, and it simply means if they love hurling, they love football, the best way of doing it would just be to go to your coach or go to her and say, look, who's coaching the under 12s? I'll help out at those sessions. I'll put the cones out. I'll help with whatever. That's the type of community involvement we're talking about. We will have groups coming to the school as well who'll be looking for help, and that'll be another option for your son or daughter to get involved in community involvement. Personal skill, I always think it's a complete shame when people go to college or whatever and they can't cook anything. You know, it could be something that they're already doing. I certainly wouldn't necessarily be spending a lot of money on any of this stuff. I'd be looking at it and saying, look, how's about once a week, you help me prepare a meal. And in relation to some of these activities, I'm more than happy to stand over. If a parent is happy to get involved and either work with their son or daughter or show them whatever. I remember during lockdown, we had nearly every kid was doing gCur was doing cooking at home with their parents. And by the end of it, they could all do Mexican, Chinese, Indian, whatever. Huge skill to have leaving home to be able to cook, I think. Certainly it's not a skill I wish I had when I was in college. Physical recreation, like I said, if they're not getting into good, healthy habits now, it's going to get more difficult as time goes on. A lot of them will already be ticking this box. If they're involved if they're in a gym, if they're playing sport, football, hurling, soccer, whatever it might be, and they're doing it on a regular basis, they're already doing that. So they don't need to start something new. They can just tick that box and that would be acceptable. So the way the gCur works, they sign up on gCur.ie. It's €15 to sign up. They'll be asked for their PAL. Their PAL is their local gCur person. That's me, and that'll come up as one of the options. And they can literally start straight away if they wanted to. Now, we'll be putting a push on this when they come back to school at the end of August. But it is something that if they want to start now, by all means, so long as there's sort of parental oversight in the thing, on the website, they have to keep an online diary. That's evidence that they're actually doing the stuff. And the other thing is the work experience. Like I said, they'll never get this opportunity again. I cannot go into most offices in town and start working, neither can you. Your son or daughter can. So I'd suggest that they take this opportunity, look, talk to them, plan it out. If the first that they start thinking of it is the second week in September, whenever they're starting, you know, every school in Galway has a transition year element, and every school in Galway has work experience as part of that. That the market is going to be more difficult. So if they start looking now and asking now, it could be a neighbour, an uncle, an aunt, a friend, it could be yourself, then now is the time for them to start planning this stuff. Like I said, it'll be 10-week slots starting pretty much when you get back in September, first week in September. They'll be out on from that Wednesday onwards, and then they'll rotate after 10 weeks. And they'll do that so they'll do 3 placements in total. But it is a great opportunity for them to get really good experience. Okay, so look, I hope I was clear enough this evening about the differences in transition years. Cuid den ólas practicúla tá an and cuid den olbhuachan le déanamh inis rivan saoire nu rivan saoire.
Okay, Kieran, gur míle magat don ólas go léir sin. Thanks, Kieran, very much for being online with us tonight and going through the different aspects of the course. So just I've been answering a few questions there that have come up. A few things like the timetable. Yes, I appreciate sometimes there can be a lot of change in TY, but just to reassure parents that the core subjects, the Irish, English, the maths and the foreign language, they have the same teacher for the whole year, and that timetable continues all through the year. Okay, so those teachers do not change. The only thing that might change is that their Irish was on a Tuesday, it might change to a Wednesday, but it's the same teacher, and they'll be doing the same work all through the year. Just a question in there, when does the first work placement, first work experience placement start, Kieran?
The first work placement will start the first week that they're back, so I don't have the calendar in front of me, but I think this, the transition year will probably start later in the first week than other students, probably Thursday, I think, generally.
Yeah.
It'll be the Wednesday after they're back in school that would be the first week. Now, as I said, I don't have a calendar in front of me, but I imagine it'll possibly either in the first or second weeks of September.
And just on that, and it was a good idea by a parent, we'll do our best with our career guidance teacher to sit down with them in the first week and do some CV work with them, so that at least they'd have a CV with them and they can bring that to work places and hand it in. So we'll try and target that at the start. Obviously, they do the work experience, and then again, Dara, where we have the interviews, it kind of rounds it off nicely that they've gained a lot of experience, valuable work experience, which will be very important to them as they go on to third level and, more importantly, go on looking for jobs in the future. So, Monty in Castella Given Chin now, just please put in the questions there. Just as I'm waiting there, I'll go through a few things myself that I jotted down there. So, in terms of timetable, I've explained same core teachers for the whole year. The optional subjects will rotate every 7 to 8 weeks, and that's important so that they get a taster for it, and that by March they can make a better choices for the subject options. The musical, we purposely put it on at the start of November, so that in the first 2 months, because it does take up time, that we can concentrate on that block of time to do more work on the musical. The musical is a brilliant leveler, and what I mean by leveler, that students come out of the woodwork, students get respected for every aspect of being in the musical, whether you're backstage, which you're involved in the business side of it, or whether you're one of the leading acts on the stage. It is absolutely brilliant to bond the year group together, and that's why we do it very much at the start of the year and get them all into it and get, as many students we can involved in some role of it on the stage, or we do other stuff backstage as well, and everybody finds their own place. Work experience, as Kieran said, is on the Wednesdays of the week, so they're at school Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and I can't say it enough. Please, 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 next year, let the Hull make sure that they're in school every day. This is a practice that they've got into. Don't let it slide in TY, because we find from experience that then that continues into 5th and 6th year. So let the Hull, let it be your goal that they're going to be in school for 8:45 with their school bag, with a few pens and with a few copies, that they treat this properly. It is very important. We will have another Eolais. We'll have another information session in September for yourselves when the courses start. So we can just, over a 25-minute session, go through what are the important dates, what's coming up, what to look out for. So we will get in contact with you regarding that. The Ceol drama, yes, very important. It's a huge part of the year, and auditions for the third year students is actually on next week. So I've been told to get them going around the kitchen, singing and acting and dancing, whatever they want. Just get a little bit of practice in, because we are holding auditions next week. Okay, so that's very important. Dini Tas Simaka, people have interest in these key roles. Please do it, go for it. Put yourself outside the comfort zone. And every year we're amazed, just different people come up and they all do play a blinder and they do a great role. So just have a go at it. Assessment and attendance, as I said, we're going to be monitoring the attendance much more, because we realise the connection between attendance and doing well academically. We're also at the moment looking at the assessment of TY and how we assess the students in the core subjects especially, and we'll come back to you in due course at start of September with further information regarding that. In relation to Kieran, as Kieran said, he's there to answer questions. So please, on the school website, you'll see under note where you got probably link to this or the email, Kieran's email to our Rifos and Shin as Mata Kestrabe, I got Kirkestra Air on Shin. Few quick things here, questions coming in here. What date do they start back? That is a very good question, and I am going to just find out here in 2 seconds. And July, August. I would think they're back on the 29th of August. That would be the TY students. Our first years are back on the 26th of August. School year starting a little bit earlier this year. It's still 166 days. It doesn't change. Some people think some year it's a longer year or a shorter year by the date that it starts. It's exactly the same number of days we have every year. So TYs are back on Thursday, the 29th of August. What school musical will they do? Well, you'd have to pay me $1 million to divulge any information regarding the musical. At the moment, all we can say is we just want to get as many students involved, get them to try something new. I would love to be back there trying something like this because I think the confidence it gives students is amazing. The auditions will be held in a classroom, and there'll probably be 1 or 2 of the music teachers or teachers involved in musicals in front of them. So it's not an occasion to be nervous of. We're certainly not trying to embarrass anyone. It'll be very much yourself in there and possibly 1 or 2 maximum teachers in there who are involved in the musical, and just give it a go, and you never know, it could be a great journey until it hits the stage in November. So Accorda Shinna Keshtin Ata Osmo Core, I see we're on 50 minutes and I like to keep things under the hour if possible, so I appreciate Dini Verlina and Mahini Kieran Tomidan Vuok Div Avelin Anocht. The final thing I would say is there's a recording of this online. I'll be putting that up shortly after this presentation is over. But most importantly for TY, please get them involved in everything. As Kieran said it, you know, that is the goal. Get them involved in everything. Get them to make new friends. They can't rely on the same friends. You know, it's very important. They'll always be there, but we like to make sure that they're making new friends. So when they go into 5th year, you know, there's many more people there to support the students, and that works very well. But it's your support is needed with this, you know. So just please be cognizant of that. That it's important that they spread their wings, they make new friendships, they do new things, they try new challenges, they go out of their comfort zone a bit, and if they do that, they will have a very, very good year. So Dumsa Corda and Rudarnock. Tá mé ráibh just duna tiis mohori agus na daltaí bliana trí fuileor just guim gach rath irv agus ganari lives in Scruda. So I just want to wish you every success in the junior cert and best of luck. You've done the work. We have a few weeks left. Please keep up the work, and if there's anything we can help with the students, please let us know in the meantime. And then with gCur, we'll do everything to help them and that they get through the junior cert. That's the main thing, and then they get to enjoy the summer, and then we look at TY again there at Trisha. So Corda, I think Shinamate Halaragum, Gramila Mahagav Taman Viokla Kiran, Gramagav Kiran of Lynn, Erlina Nukt, Agus, so Wemsha Agus Kiran just Slongafol Agus Fekmishiv Glurish. Okay, Turara, Slaniv.